Welcome. This is Stories, Wisdom, and Recipes. I'm Lawrence Pugliese. And on today's program, I have Fred, Riley, Tyler, and Noel. And we're going to be talking to you about all kinds of stuff, namely addiction, love, and all related subject matter. Before we get to that, I have a little something to read to you. I woke up this morning knowing nothing but my desire to run. Do you know that desire? The temperature was warm and the early uccelli sang their sunrise songs. I trekked through my neighborhood. I yelled from inside this crazy heart, all my love and analysis, more of a logical kind. I yelled it with a deep, sumptuous baritone, fueled with spiritual wings and a soulful essence, steeped in pain, subterfuged by a wisdom's joy for life. Not just me living, but all I perceive as I live and breathe. This ecosystem, this multi-dimensional tapestry, homespun, genuine. So many existences, so many types, trials and tribulations, so unique each and every one in essence, and so much the same simultaneously. The hurt inflicted and endured, the warmth nurtured and secured as holy men and women believe their prayers to higher power make a difference. They are faithful and heard as a reward. How about the rest of us? We creatures staggering and swaggering on this planet Earth. The moment, just a mere minute or two ago, that showed me an insight surely leading to greater power and control via supreme understanding is more difficult to symbolize with mere words now. Or maybe I need to just run, homespun and full. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Tyler Opshinsky in his debut, singing a song he wrote called It's About Love. Take it away.
Come down here, I'm here to stay, playing the same old song I played, waiting for you to hear my word. I hope you do, girl, it would mean the world when you listen and really hear not the lyric, babe, but how sincere my voice. It feels so free, thinking of you and me. Love is what I got for you. Love, and I'll share it with you. Love from me to you. Girl, please love me too. I watched you take that walk. I wonder, did you hear me talk? I know down deep you know it's true. In your heart you love me too. Do you remember when our eyes met? The feeling you felt, girl, tell me you forget. It's too strong to leave in the past. You can keep running, but our love will outlast. Love is what I got for you. Love, and I'll share it with you. Love from me to you. But girl, please love me too. Come down here, I'm here to stay, playing the same old song I play, waiting for for you to hear my word. I hope you do, girl. It would mean the world when you listen and really hear not the lyric, babe, but how sincere my boy is to feel so free. Thinking of you and me, we could sit down and watch the lightning at night. Just me and my girl, not a person inside. We could lay down and cuddle all night long, sharing a blanket, girl. What went wrong? We used to laugh until the sun came up, worrying about nothing till our parents woke up. But where did them good old days go? Just come on home. Love is what I got for you, love, and I'll share it with you. Love from me to you, but girl, please love me too.
All right, Tyler Opshinsky. That was nice, Tyler. That was very nice. Thank you, man. The debut. He'll be back later on to sing another song that he wrote. But right now, two gentlemen at the table, Fred and Riley. How you doing, guys?
Good.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. Make sure everything is, yeah, there we go. Anthony George behind the camera as usual. Anthony, thank you for putting all this thing together, all this stuff together for us so we can do this thing. Today we're going to talk to these gentlemen about addiction, basically. You know, I was looking for guests, and I put out a message just to the general surroundings, the general community I was involved in one day, and these guys came and said, we'd talk. We want to talk about addiction. And I said, why? And they said, because it's an important subject. People need to hear our story so that maybe they can learn a little bit from it. And I guess on a personal level, it helps you get past your own challenges. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carrying that message to other alcoholics and addicts, that's what it's all about, helping others.
That's Riley. And Riley, basically, you consider yourself an alcoholic.
Yes.
And Fred, you consider yourself
An addict.
an addict. What in particular? Anything in particular you're addicted to?
I can openly say now that I was addicted to heroin.
Okay. All right. Serious business, no doubt, both alcohol and heroin. Now a little background first from both you guys. Now, we'll work from this way in.
All right.
Where are you from originally, Riley?
I'm from Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts.
Okay, and how old are you?
I'm 20.
You're 20. And Fred, yourself?
I'm 19 years old. I was born in Reading, Pennsylvania, and grew up in Allentown.
Okay. So you're from a little closer by. You're from up in Massachusetts, Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah, way up north.
Way up north. And when did you realize that you had a problem, like that you needed to fix, so to speak?
Well, my life, fell apart kind of slowly. But it was one day when I had a lacrosse tournament. I'm very passionate about lacrosse. I want to be, a Division I college athlete, and I couldn't get up from my tournament. I had the shakes. I was, nauseous, throwing up, and I couldn't stop. I couldn't even get out of bed to drink, which is a weird thing for me, And that right then and there, my dad was like, he knew a long time ago that I was an alcoholic. He himself is an alcoholic, and he'd been saving up for a trip for me to go to rehab. So I ended up, he put me on the boat, sent me to Caron Treatment Center in Warnersville, Pennsylvania.
All right. And yourself, when did you realize that you had a problem that you had to deal with?
Well, my run came to an end when I woke up on a park bench after being homeless for a couple months, dope sick, throwing up. I decided it was time to either end my life or do something about it. And from there on, I got myself into a detox unit in Reading Hospital. And since then, I've been clean and sober.
See, go ahead, I'm sorry. I was
Yeah.
gonna say, you did it yourself. You pulled yourself up off the park bench, basically, and walked into a facility?
Yep. Yeah, my parents supported my going to a facility. I went to Karen, actually rehab, and learned a lot about the disease. I have tried to get sober in the past, and I relapsed, but this time there's a big key element that was missing, and that is my higher power, as you were talking about in your reading this morning. Because my addiction dates back maybe till I was like 2 years old.
Really?
Yes. I didn't start using back then, but that's when things started rolling, because my earliest memory is actually when I was getting potty trained. I was beat by my nanny, and that is very vivid to me to this day. My early childhood, felt like I was missing something, like there was a hole in my heart or something. And soon enough, I found out that I could fill that hole with drugs.
Was that middle school or high school? How early would you say?
Middle school.
Yeah?
I needed an operation on my left leg, and the painkillers that the doctors gave me started the ball rolling, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
And they're probably like Vicodin-based,
Yes.
opiate-based, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And then from that point?
From that point, it was all or nothing. To me, it was a reason to live. It took away feelings of depression, anxiety, and I quickly learned that these drugs could get me out of myself. Help me cope with the world today. But having found God, the thing is, all earthly possessions, they get used up in time. Anything, the drugs, they disappeared after a while.
You couldn't get your hands on them.
No, the money disappeared, but now when I look up and I give myself to my higher power and let Him fill the emptiness in my heart, that's not going to go away. That's going to be there forever.
And is that, when you say higher power, God, is it just a general notion in your head, or is it through a particular church, or is it through a particular synagogue or mosque?
It's not religious for me. It's not religious. It's more spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's, I study a lot of religions, Muslim, Buddhism, Christianity, Catholic. It's all good, I think people need to not focus so much on the religion as on the main concept and the similarities.
And what do you see those as being? Can you define that main concept or the similarities? What are they all trying to say that you think is worthwhile?
Well, it was once said way back in ancient Egypt that a civilization could prosper if they did two things. One was hold hands together in brotherhood, and the second is bow down to a higher power and give worship. It's all one higher power, something that gives everyone a purpose in life. It certainly gives me a purpose in life. Treat thy neighbor as yourself. All these are good things. I found out quick that if I just keep doing the right thing, then I have little to nothing that I have to worry about. Because it used to be, I owe this person money. How am I going to get my fix so I'm not dope sick the next morning? Now it's, who can I help? Who can I, feed today? Who's hungry? what can I do for other people?
So it's not as selfish anymore.
No.
And being an addict, I guess most people would say, you're selfish.
And that's what it comes down to as the root of my problem. I couldn't see it, but I was very selfish. Very selfish.
Wow, that's a really insightful set of experiences that you've shared with us. And yeah, obviously, I mean, 19 years old, you sound like you have a lot more years than that behind you, all the experience. In a way, that's the positive, I guess, if there's any, from what you experienced, you've gained some extra insight and wisdom.
Yeah, you know, I wouldn't wish addiction on anybody, not
No,
even
no.
my worst enemy, because it's dark. It's a dark place to be, and it's very scary. I almost died a number of times, actually. I have to count on both my hands on the number of friends I lost to addiction.
When you say lost, you mean like they passed on, or?
They passed away, yes.
And now, going over to Riley, do you also have a higher power that, similar to what Fred is saying, that helps you?
Yeah, I do. They say that's the only thing that, you know, will keep us sober, is having faith in something greater than ourselves. And it's a God of your understanding. You know, it's not
It's a God of,
your understanding, of our understanding as God as you understand Him. You know, it's not a Muslim God. It's not a Christian God or a Jewish God. It's how you perceive Him. And
how would you define this God?
for me personally, I don't think I'll ever be able to understand or know the power. You know, it's not for me to know.
What kind of attributes, like what kind of message or what kind of direction does this power espouse?
Let's see. Say the one thing right now is God's will for me is to get better, because I feel like I'm a sick person. You know, we're not, or Fred and I are not bad people getting good. We're sick people getting well. I perceive this as a disease, you know, and that's what his main goal is for me now. And then later on, you know, when I actually, because this is an ongoing thing. You know, I only have a daily reprieve from my addiction based on the contingency of my spiritual condition, is what they say, and eventually it would be to help another person, like Fred was saying. You know, that's what it's really all about, is giving back. You know, love thy neighbor as you love yourself.
So it's not about judgment. It's not about you're bad, I'm good. It's about, it sounds like human connection. It sounds like a handout to help rather than a handout to push someone down. You're trying to lift people up and yourself at the same time.
Exactly.
And you get that from just your own reflections, your own thinking, or do you read? You were saying you read Buddhism, Islam, and so on, Christianity. And yourself, do you read any books to that?
Yeah, I do study many religions, and I haven't found one that fits me yet, because I feel a religion, you know, is a man-made set of rules how to worship a God. You got to figure out on your own, you know, and. Well, I read this book called The Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and it points you in the direction of finding, you know, a higher power, of, you know, learning the spiritual way of life, and that's how I found it out, through, you know, trials and tribulations on how to go about living, you know. And there's this one book right now called The Sermon on the Mount by I can't think of his name right now, but that book, it breaks down the teachings of Jesus, and the Beatitudes is what part I'm on right now. I don't know if you ever heard the Beatitudes.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Yeah, and it breaks them down, and I get a lot of insight and knowledge from that book.
Now, as young people, 20 and 19, do you have to keep this secret? Is it a secret? Is it a dirty secret that you feel you're carrying around, being an alcoholic or an addict? Or when you introduce yourself and that comes up with people, do you find a negative reaction from them?
Well, I do find a lot of negative reactions, people who don't understand, and that's common. Obviously, I did a lot of bad things in the past to get my fix so that I could pretty much survive. But right now, you know, my life is all alone pretty much. I should have been dead like a while ago. Right now, it's all about other people, and I can say I'm an addict all I want, but I have to take responsibility for the past.
And that's personal.
Yeah.
Do you think automatically when you tell somebody you're an addict? See, I think if someone says they're an alcoholic, I don't think people look at that as negatively as they do, I'm a heroin addict. I think people look at, especially in northeastern Pennsylvania, I think alcoholism is pretty predominant here. And also, there are a lot of heroin addicts in northeastern Pennsylvania. There's a big heroin problem in northeastern Pennsylvania. People don't want to talk about that as much. Alcoholism, I think people say that's too bad, but you know, I have an uncle that's an alcoholic, or I have a cousin, or I have a whomever that's an alcoholic. I'm just wondering how your experiences are different. You both have, as you said, a sickness that needs to be healed. But is there a more negative sort of connotation to being a heroin addict as compared to being someone who is addicted to alcohol?
Well, it's funny because like nowadays, the majority of young people are addicted to other substances, not just alcohol. And like I myself, I had a run with heroin, I had a run with cocaine. You name it, I've done it, you know. And but the alcohol was my main problem because I would lose control when I was on. I was a monster. I was a complete different person. It was like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
A mean drunk, as they say?
Exactly. I was angry, I was bitter, I was resentful, and that's what brought me to my knees. You know, if somebody asks, you know, I'll tell them, you know, I was a heroin addict for a little while there. You know, I didn't go on as long as run with it as Fred did, but I did my fair share of all kinds of drugs. But I do think at the same time that being an alcoholic is more accepted because alcohol is legal, first of all. You know, a lot of people socially drink, and it can a lot of people it spirals out of control for. But like I'm willing to say, you know, I'm an alcoholic and an addict if somebody needs help, you know, like being open about it. Like the first question you asked is, are you ashamed about it? And not at all, because if I tell somebody my story and it helps them in the slightest, you know, it does a lot of good. It helps me out a lot knowing that I've helped somebody else. But at the same time, I have to keep telling myself that it's not me, it's God helping. It's God using me as his instrument to help somebody else.
So it sounds like it's about redemption to a certain extent.
A little bit, yeah.
You know, I mean, you want to get healthy for obvious reasons. You want to have a good life. And you know, you're smart people, you know that you can't continue to go on the way you were and have a long life or a healthy life for that matter. You know, when I say healthy, I don't just mean physically, I mean spiritually healthy, intellectually healthy. But you also probably want to come to terms with the past to a certain extent, I would imagine. Anybody, not just people who are addicted, people that have any sort of skeleton in the closet or any sort of behavior in the past that they're not happy about. They want to find some redemption. And is that part of going out and helping other folks? You know, it's a good place to be, generally speaking. I mean, anybody's going to feel good about themselves if they're doing good stuff. But does it also help you reach back into the past and make amends?
Yeah, well, that's part of it. There's a program that goes along with the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's called the 12 Steps.
Yes.
And the first part of it is finding God. The second part of it is cleaning house, you know, cleaning up the wreckage of your past, which what you have to do. You have to come to terms with all the things that you've done wrong and acknowledge that most of it was your fault, if not all of it. You know, you got to stop blaming other people. And that's what it's really all about. Then there's another part of it, which is actually making direct amends to the people you've harmed.
Going and saying, I'm sorry, and take responsibility.
Exactly. And not only that, but how can I make it up? How can I, you know, if I stole from you, can I repay you for that? Or if I've physically harmed you in the past, is there anything I can do to make you more comfortable now?
Right.
I have created a list of people that I've harmed in the past, you know, employers, friends, family members. It's a long list. And when I go to make an amend, what I'm saying is, I'm not going to do this again. And some of those things, like for my parents, they aren't addicts or alcoholics at all. They're actually teachers. Like, I have a nice, clean family. I was just the black sheep. For them, it's more of like a living amends. And by that, I can't say I'm sorry. I have to show them that I'm sorry. And this is one of the ways to do it is to just stay sober and do the next right thing.
How long have you guys been sober?
I've been sober for 6 months.
6 months?
I just got 3 months.
3 months?
I've had a couple slip-ups in the past. It's not an easy thing.
No. No.
But we met in rehab and had the same sober date when we got there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's neat. That's how you guys became friends.
Yeah, and we moved into the same halfway house. And we're eventually gonna, as soon as I move out, I'm taking a little longer there because I really struggle with it. But we're eventually gonna get an apartment together.
That sounds smart,
Yeah.
because you both have similar challenges to face, so you can help each other out. It's got to be tempting. I mean, right now we're talking on the cusp of Parade Day here in Scranton, which is a big drunk fest for a lot of people. I mean, it's a family day for a lot of folks too, but there are a significant number of people who just, they drink and drink and drink, and other things too.
Yeah.
Do you remove yourself totally from that? Is that the wise thing to do, or do you just do your thing, and even if it might be surrounding you, you try to
I can't
block it
let
out?
it affect me. I can't. I'm not gonna go to Parade Day because I know like I said, I'm from Massachusetts and I used to go up to Boston, South Boston on Parade Day, and it was crazy. There's full of Irish people, and I'm very Irish myself. So what I want to do now is actually celebrate the holiday. Celebrate the life of Saint Patrick.
On the 17th.
On the 17th,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, on Parade Day, I believe I'm working that day, so I'm just gonna throw myself in my work and do my business and get home, get a good night's sleep.
Sounds good.
But yeah, it's tempting. It definitely is tempting.
Oh, it's got to be, and you got to address that for what it is. It's a real temptation. If you ignore that, then you're more likely to fall into it, right?
Exactly.
Do you have something to say, Fred?
Yeah. I mean, regarding the whole Parade Day, I just keep it very simple. When I drink, I break out in handcuffs. I'm allergic to alcohol. And many times in the past, I've tried to put down the heroin, my drug of choice, just drink. It didn't work. I keep it simple by knowing that if I pick up a drink, I will kill myself with heroin. And this is the only way I have to live right now.
Straight,
Yes.
so to speak. Just
Yeah.
maybe some caffeine.
Caffeine and cigarettes.
Caffeine and cigarettes.
Caffeine and nicotine.
Yeah.
That's what we live off.
That's what you lean on.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about some apple pie and stuff like that?
Oh,
Sweets.
Of course, gotta have good food.
Yeah.
I know. My one roommate eats like 3 packets of Sour Patch Kids a day and drinks like 3 liters of soda.
Oh my God, was he bouncing off the walls?
Yeah, but he needs the sugar. So
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but alcoholics, when they're in recovery, or addicts, need sugar for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Folks, I want to, again, remind you, you're watching Stories, Wisdom, and Recipes. I'm Lawrence Pugliese. I'm here with Riley and Fred. And today's episode is being underwritten by United Cultures Leadership Institute at Lackawanna College. I want to thank those good folks for helping to make this program possible. We have Noel coming up in a little while, and we have Tyler. If you've been watching us from the beginning, he started off the program with a wonderful song that he wrote, and he'll be ending the program with another song. But back to these two guys. Before we go to Noel, you can get ready in the performance space. Do you feel like you've addressed the first set of questions adequately enough? Did you leave anything out? Did I allow you to?
I think, we pretty much said it all. I'm an addict, Riley's an alcoholic, but there is one common solution to this.
And that is?
That is higher power.
The higher power.
They say in the program, they say you have a spiritual awakening after completing the 12 steps, and that is what eventually opens you up. It removes everything that's blocking you from God, and that is the solution in the long run. So you have to trust in God, have faith.
When we come back from Noel's poem, we're gonna go into that a little bit. The whole idea of a higher power and faith and the substance behind that whole notion. All right, and then
All right.
we'll see where that takes us. All right, thank you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we go over to the performance space and introduce to you Noel, and he's going to write a poem or read a poem that he wrote. So, without further ado, Noel.
Now why is it it's my heart that you choose to crush? I no longer have you in my life to fuel the rush. I used to think that it'd only be the two of us, and now I'm lost, confused, and don't know who to trust. It hurt me to think of you holding another hand. You got me wanting to kill like the son of Sam. But times have changed, I'm a recovered man. I thought you was my true lady, now you got a new baby. I thought me and you were stuck like glue, baby, you know, never separating, acting out and demonstrating the effects what other people were speculating. But whether I'm right or wrong, I just had to write a song to let you know that I'll always take you back with open arms. You was my first love and I thought that you'd be my last. I never would have predicted that you'd be my past. Without you, I feel naked like people could see my ass. And that might seem like the most embarrassing, but it's a paper cut compared to the pain that you're establishing. Matter of fact, I recall someone telling me before, take what you want fast and it might not be no more. Now I finally understand. I feel like I got the power like the gun in hand. I'm late, but I'm gonna pick up the pieces and take what I can. I'm probably gonna be thinking about the time you was in front of me and told me it was dead. Well, you might as well have put the gun in me, because if you would've did it then instead of doing it now, I wouldn't have these bad intentions of grabbing my Glock and doing this clown. Seems like I'm alone to deal with the truth of the sound. If only you knew what it is I do for your smile. It hurt, but it eased my mind like breaking the bad news to the child. And I don't want you to take none of this personal. I ain't trying to put a curse on you. I'm grateful for what I had, and there's a lot of shorties worse than you.
Destiny.
Destiny. That would be that.
By Noel Segui. And thank you, Noel, for sharing that with us.
No problem.
All right. That was awesome. Had a nice rhythm to it.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that.
I have to listen to that again and again and catch all the words. He hit us with so much all at once. And it kind of falls in line with what we were saying before. I mean, everything we're talking about here is the human condition, you know? We're not robots. We have souls. Sometimes they're a little empty or lost, but they all need the same thing, I would say, you know? They need love, they need support, they need something that gives it hope so they can go on, right? You can't, and some of the things that we're talking about, not just heroin or booze, there are other things in life that make you empty and make you do things that aren't kind or that make you selfish. You know, a single-minded pursuit of money does that too. You know, a single-minded pursuit of just, let's say, empty sex does that too. You know, so there's all kinds of addiction. There are others that'll kill you quicker, make you get lost quicker, and there's others that, you know, slowly but surely you'll find yourself lost.
Oh, yeah.
He was talking about love, I think, Noel, among other things. And so was Tyler in his opening song. But you mentioned higher power, the two of you. Now, what about people that might be listening to you guys and say, you know, these guys are strong guys, you know, they've been through a lot of stuff. Now they're grabbing on to, and I try to anticipate what viewers might be thinking. Now they're grabbing onto this higher power idea because they got nothing left to grab onto. Is it just something they're following blindly, or something that they read in a pamphlet and they really, you know, don't feel in their heart? And is it something that will make them almost give up a part of their individuality, and then they can, well, after oversimplifying the way they look at the world, cope? How would you respond to that sort of analysis or criticism, that this higher power idea is?
Well, it's funny you should say that, because that's exactly how I used to think. I used to think that this concept of a higher power was just something that addicts and alcoholics, you know, trick themselves into believing in so they have something left, you know. But I've seen it too many times. I've seen God in work too many times to doubt him anymore, you know. So many. I've seen some of the lowest bottom drunks or drug addicts recover from this and become successful and happy. And there's other things I don't want to get into because they're a little personal, but I just know without any doubt that God is working in my life. And I get down on my knees every morning after I make my bed and I pray. And my prayers are usually answered as long as I'm not praying for selfish things like money, you know, material wealth, or a girl to like me or something like that. But I pray for other people, and I pray for, you know, the knowledge of God's will and the power to carry that out, you know. And I see it working in my life, definitely.
Okay. Yourself, Fred? Any response?
Yeah, I mean, my whole view on the whole thing is you can look at this world in two different ways. One is just a freak science experiment, you know, all going wrong, or there's something holding this mess of life forms together. And I believe that's my higher power, you know, and it's not religious. Lots of people think it has to do with the church or whatever. It's not religious. I don't go to church. What it is my higher power healed me from my addiction, just like Jesus healed the blind. I learned how to be happy, sober, through Buddha's teachings. You know, I believe in karma. It makes perfect sense. The whole Hinduism thing. You do bad things are going to happen to you. If you do good things happen to you. You know, it's just religion is there to give people kind of a suggestion on the way to live. Not to control anybody like some religions might be doing right now, but to help people. Because it's really it's a better way to live life for everybody. You know, you give some, you take it back. It's all about making the world go round. And I do have a big problem with people fighting each other because they're looking at the differences in their religions and not the similarities. You know?
Yeah, I've always found that to be silly, and not just silly, you know. It's a shame, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame. In the name of something that's supposed to represent goodness, people are perpetrating terrible, terrible acts. Yeah, I don't understand that either. But it's there, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But right now, you guys are more focused on. It seems to me, if I can use physical references, you're working from the inside and then outward. You're trying to get it all straightened out, so to speak, together, strong, and then working outward. It seems like you guys are community-oriented to a certain extent. It seems at first you might want to focus on people that have similar challenges that you've seen and help them with their challenges. And then where that takes you, it takes you. Does that sound like a good representation of where you're at and where you might be trying to go or get?
Yep.
I mean, you never know where you're going to be in like an hour from now. You
No.
don't know what's going to happen, but I think everything is laid out in front of us. Things happen for a reason. And I've seen, my higher power in work in my life. I just got to be looking for him in everyone and everything, because if you're not looking for him, you're not going to see him. But I believe he talks through you. I believe he talks through, Riley. I believe it, you can hear his voice. It's out there, he's everywhere.
And it's mainly goodness? I mean, is there any... So when things terrible happen to an individual, become an addict, or just, someone is a violent person, or a bunch of folks get together and attack another bunch of folks, where's that coming from? Is that just human?
Certainly, humans, like, I'm in control of my own destiny. We make choices,
So you're not saying it's blind, you're blind and you have no control. You're saying you have options.
Well, we all have options. Yeah. We all have choices. In ancient scriptures, like I was talking about, there's like history of God actually saying that we are God. Because when a horse gives birth to something, what is it? It's a horse. And, the Bible says we were created in God's image. So we're almost like God himself.
Well, you ever hear that tune by Bob Marley and Peter Tosh? Get Up, Stand Up. Did you ever hear that tune?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a line in there that refers to that. I think Peter Tosh sings it. Almighty God is a living man,
Yeah,
I think, is the line.
I know that line. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great line. It's a great song. One of the best ever. Are you talking about something to that extent? Like,
Yeah.
you have that in you, you're saying, but you don't necessarily act on it. You don't necessarily nurture it. You might not,
Mm-hmm.
but you should, obviously. And that's the higher power that you see when it comes out. So the way you're looking at the world now is much different than you were looking at it a year or two ago.
Absolutely. You know, my eyes are opened up. I'm not blind anymore. Like I was saying, you know, there's two kinds of people in this world, a wise person once told me. One of them looks through a mirror and sees themselves. The other one looks through glass and sees other people. You know, and I've been looking through the glass, and I'm seeing the world in a lot different perspective than I used to be. You know.
Excellent. Excellent. Anything to add?
Yeah, what I was saying is, we are all granted free will, and an alcoholic is the incarnation of free will run riot, and we all have the choice to do the right thing. You know, you have that conscience, right? Most people have the voice in their head saying, "This is wrong, this is bad." You know, I believe that's God. God put it. It's a God conscience. He put it there to teach us how to do right. But the minute you ignore that and start running off your own ideas, that's when you block yourself from God. You know?
Freud would call that the superego,
Yeah.
that voice, basically.
It's funny. They say alcoholics are egomaniacs with an inferiority complex.
Egomaniacs and an inferiority account. That makes sense, yeah. Yeah. All right. Wow, gentlemen, I don't know where to go from here. We've talked about some pretty important and real situations. Now, would you say in today's society a lot of people your age, 19, 20, younger, are dealing with alcohol abuse problems or heroin addiction problems? Would you say?
I'd say yeah. I was blind to it before because I was trapped in my own little world, you know. But there's a lot of, especially out here, I've never seen so many young people in the program before. There's many people in range. I live with a 16-year-old who's in my halfway house right now, who, you know, it beat him so early, but.
Now you say around here, just for people who tuned in late, you're from Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And you're saying a lot of local young people, more than you would, it's surprising to you that
Yeah.
that have alcohol problems or issues.
Exactly. But yeah, it's definitely become more common especially with the potency of the drugs lately. Even like people, I know people who are in rehab and stuff just for marijuana. You know, big part of my story, I definitely smoked my share of weed, but it's definitely beating people now. You know, the potency of it is 20 times, you know, higher than it was back in you know, the 60s or 70s.
The THC level,
THC
yeah.
level, yeah.
Mhm, that's
and
true.
It definitely can cause psychosis. It can, you know, you know what I mean? It's like a heroin epidemic is huge. You know, I know a ton of people who are on dope right now, and it's one of the hardest things to kick. You know.
Yeah, that's for sure. Studies have proven that. Now, what do you think about the whole movement to legalize marijuana? You know, that's something that's getting stronger and stronger across the country. Do you think it's a bad idea to legalize marijuana?
No, I see no harm in it. You know, same thing as legalizing alcohol. Some people can do it responsibly. You know, drink like a gentleman. I'm sure some people can smoke like a gentleman too. I certainly could not. You know, it does have, you know, medicinal purposes. Definitely. My friend's father had a form of cancer. I forget what it was, but he was prescribed marijuana and it stopped the nausea. You know, it made him able to cope with the day because it was the pain from the cancer was so great. You know, and I actually they decriminalized marijuana in Massachusetts, and I voted for it. I was still in active addiction, but I voted for it to be decriminalized. And I really don't see any harm in it. It is a drug, but at the same time, it's not, you know, it doesn't make your life as unmanageable as other substances do, you know.
Some would say alcohol is even worse than marijuana. Some would say, you know, there are a couple of different schools of thought on that one.
I definitely believe it is. You know, when I would smoke weed, I would, you know, sit back on the couch in sweatpants and a bag of Cheetos, you know, playing Xbox. But when I drink, you know, I don't know, I'll end up, you know, breaking into my school and wake up, you know, butt naked on the floor. It's crazy stuff like that. You know, I've had that actually happen to me.
That's extreme.
Yeah,
There's no doubt.
You know, I was very violent. You know, I've constantly, like Fred said, I break out in handcuffs when I drink. I find myself in jail cells, you know, in hospitals, not knowing what I've done or, you know, who I've done it to.
Do you think the media glorifies drinking?
Definitely. Especially the media, you know, whatever, music videos, you know, stars.
Movies, anything, yeah, commercials, you know, whatever.
Definitely, you know, there's all, you know, football. There's the, you know, the Bud Light ads, the Budweiser ads. You know, they make it like that's a thing you do. You watch football and you drink, or you watch baseball and you drink.
Right.
And yeah, but like I said, you know, it's not if you can handle it. You know, if you don't have the, you know, the disease of alcoholism, which I feel I was born with. You know, so some people say it's genetic. You know, I can agree with that because the majority of my family are alcoholics and addicts. But you know, people can use it responsibly. You know, why take it away from the people who can use it responsibly when you know a percentage of us can't? You know.
And thank you, Riley. And Fred, yourself, when you were out on the streets with your heroin addiction, did you see a lot of young people out there with you?
Absolutely, it's real, and you know, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Everywhere you go, you can always find it. Now, I mean, that's not, heroin is not the problem there. For me, I was the problem. I was the one that used heroin abusively. I had plenty of chances. Before I even decided to use heroin, I had a choice to say no.
Right. But it was easy, wasn't it, to get?
It was easy, yeah. And, you know, it all comes down to, like, who are we really? Are we ourselves, or are we what the world today tells us to be? Because I grew up, you know, in Allentown. My only peer group was people who use drugs, and needless to say, that was all I knew.
That was the norm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, through getting sober, I'm finding out who I really am. You know, and I know I wasn't meant to be on the streets doing heroin. No one was meant to do that. We're all here for bigger reasons. And you know, it's dark, it's real, and it's out there. But if you're willing to get help, there's places you can go to get help. They're everywhere. You know, you can start by going to the rooms of AA or NA. They're everywhere. You know, just Google it up. But there's also other things. You know, help is right around the corner. You just gotta ask for it. So that was always my biggest problem, because of my selfishness and my ego. I couldn't ask for help.
You didn't think you had a problem, or you thought it was weak to say that you had a problem. Am I correct?
Yeah, denial was a big thing for me. Denied that I was an addict. Thought I could do it myself, and when I woke up on that park bench, dope sick, with no money, nothing, I knew it was time to humble myself and ask for some help.
Excellent. I'm glad you did. You guys give a real compelling, intelligent, thoughtful presentation about who you are, what you've experienced as individuals, and how you see the larger situation regarding addiction. And I appreciate that. Thank you. Wish you the best.
No problem. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Stories, Wisdom, and Recipes, and we had the pleasure of talking with two, again, very intelligent, strong good souls, from my perspective, and I'm sure any reasonable mind's perspective, Riley and Fred. And we're going to go to Tyler in a moment. I have a couple of things to tell you. First of all, again, this episode is underwritten by United Cultures Leadership Institute at Lackawanna College. And that particular institute is having a fundraising sale. If you're watching this before the parade, we'll be selling, well, not selling. We'll be taking donations for the carnations that we'll have with us at certain locations in the downtown area. Let me give you those locations. We'll be on the corner of Vine Street and North Washington, right by Lackawanna College. We'll also be on Washington Avenue in front of Seeley Hall, which used to be the Keystone residence, right next to the Scranton Cultural Center. We'll also be across the street, I believe, at Healy Hall. It used to be the Domestic Relations Building. It's right next to the Scranton Administration Building. We'll be at St. Peter's Cathedral, and we'll be down at the Federal Building, and possibly at the Radisson if we have enough volunteers to help us. We'll have green carnations. We'll be wearing these shirts. You'll see at least one of us wearing a shirt like this, green. It says UCLI on it at Lackawanna College. And for a small donation, you can have a green carnation. And I think we also have some stamps. We have the traditional shamrock stamps that you can put on your face for $1 donation. And we also have, for those who are a little bit more risque, skull and crossbone, but green, you can put on your face and things of that nature. So look for us. All the money goes back into United Cultures Leadership Institute, helps us with our programs, speaker series, a symposia, underwriting a show like this. We have a leadership academy, many, many other great things. You can check us out on Facebook, United Cultures Leadership Institute, to get more information, or call Lackawanna College, ask for Lawrence Pugliese. They'll patch you through to my office, and I'll give you some more information, email you some literature or what have you. Yeah, I think that's all. I have a little something to read, and then back to Tyler Opshinsky. Again, this is his debut. What's the next song called, Tyler? Clear Brook. But first, thanks for watching, by the way. Here we are. It's my wife's birthday. Happy birthday, Erin. And the world spins either way, aware or unaware. When does it stop revolving on its tilted axis? I was told that the recent earthquake in Chile's part of the world changed this sphere's position on its axis to such an extent that our daylight hours are less. How does that figure on paper, theoretically? How does that affect the good graces of my old friend Mike Draper, hermetically? Some will say I can't even notice, and who is to care anyhow? For in a matter of days we will embrace yet again, 49th year, our St. Patty's Day parade. Spring unofficial. Kisses and hugs and ham and cabbage and Scottish bagpipes and Irish uilleann pipes and beer. Light beer and good beer too. Alcoholics struggling because of the omnipresent reality of their nemesis this day. Amateurs vomiting, saying and doing otherwise ill-advised things. We'll call them things because only in the abstract can you be sure to not exclude or misrepresent or scare. Love and disheartened, infused experiences, both will occur. Like on all other days, I suppose, but the expectations, fueling action, thought, and being seem to amplify these human endeavors and circumstance. Dance and dance. I think I sense the extra tilt of the axis now. Or was it straightened up a bit more? Hallelujah. Exercise your soul and sleep comfy and warm. Tyler Opshinsky with Clear Brook. Thanks for watching.
surrounded like a dead deer mounted, helpless and hopeless, but it gives me a motive to get up on my feet and feel to the sheet. Finally share how I feel down deep, this is real. I feel surrounded, surrounded, I feel surrounded. Like everyone looks down on me, I wanna be set free from this emotional pit of the darkness and shit. I'm trapped with no ladder, my life doesn't matter. I need to find a way out without a friggin' doubt. Please free me from this beast to beat me at the least. I feel surrounded, surrounded, I feel surrounded. These walls are so tall, on my knees I crawl. In circles I go, trying to find a hole, some kind of escape. Sharpen my nails and scrape, but the walls are so thick. I tried till I was sick, sick of living a lie. I laid on my back just to die. I awoke to a tremble, saw the walls start to crumble. Eyes open, the walls fell. Eyes open, escape from hell. Not exactly heaven now, but I'm alive and I'm not sure how. I have survived. I have survived. I'm a survivor. I have survived. Now I can see this earth, it's like an energy burst. Now I learn about the beast, to me he is deceased. Now I look him in the eyes and I say, F you while he dies. I have overcome you again and again. I'll say F you. I